And welcome back to Lantern Corp. This comes to us from Brandon Witten, who asked for all the Espada. I've done a couple of them. I've done Yami, Anyero. I know I've done Ulquiorra, and I think I've done Stark. But we still have, obviously, Espada number 8 is this time around. We still have Espada number 9, Zamari, Grimjiao is on there, Nyuratora is on there, and Haribel is on there, and Baragon. So there's still about half of the Espada from Bleach. Now, if you don't know who they are, why are you clicking on the video? But I mean, seriously, I'm not gonna hold your hand, okay? Szayelaporro Granz, or Szayelaporro, there is a Z in there, is the 8th Espada. He is the scientist of the group, and he is a sadistic and messed up individual, to say the least. He literally has his little minions that he keeps around that if he gets injured, he can literally take them, turn them into a sphere, eat the sphere, and recover. Basically saying, I don't care about your life. You're there to keep me alive. He actually runs a fair amount of the spectrum in terms of the Lantern Corps as well. Now, when I say a fair amount, more than two Lantern Corps are solid options for him, which is not easy. I always like to try to give 3 options, just because the video is going to be very short otherwise. But the fact is, he can easily qualify for 4 of these, I think. And there's even some arguments to be made for at least maybe 1 or 2 others. Let's get started, though. Right out the gate, though, one of the things he's not a Lantern of is Sorrow. Again, there's just not enough information on these Lanterns right now to really give a good idea of where they qualify. In fact, I'm gonna check real quick just to be sure. We also don't know what the special ability of this particular Lantern Corps is. Like, all the Lantern Corps do have specific abilities. Okay, so Nathan Broom, Earth Prime. All right. Nothing but sorrow. He is the current Sorrow Lantern Corps member. As far as I know, he's the only one. Sorrow Lantern Ring. Empathy. Nathan can generate a crippling feeling of sadness and okay. All right. That is different. He can actually basically just see, that's actually a very unique ability for a Lantern Ring, because the Lantern Ring doesn't usually project out and influence others' emotions. Will doesn't do that. Hope can do that, but Hope is also a unique ring, and can work in tandem with the Green Lantern rings. Avarice doesn't do that. It doesn't project greed on others. Neither does Rage nor Love. As far as I know, it doesn't. But yeah, the fact it can just inflict sorrow on others is actually quite a dangerous ability when going up against, say, other Lantern Corps. So yeah, that's actually kind of interesting, to say the least. In terms of what color that is, I want to say that Lantern Corps is gray. Point being, though, Szayelaporro does not qualify as a Sorrow Lantern. Like, he doesn't really he's not like sad about a lot of things. Like, yeah, he hates the fact he wound up in hell, but that's not a sorrow kind of thing. Nor is he really a Gold Lantern, because he hasn't been happy. A, he died first and foremost, but B, I don't know if this is a guy you could say is a good example of projecting happiness all his life. I don't think that really works. Shame is one of the ones I did not put, but I think an argument could be made for Shame, because especially with Mayuri kind of bitch smacking him around, you could see maybe some Shame crept in there. But likewise, on the other side of the fence, I don't think he's a Green Lantern. Sure, he's got solid willpower, but I honestly don't think it's a willpower that qualifies as a Green Lantern. And B, he did not overcome Great Fear. He got made a laughing stock by Mayuri. And he's certainly not a White Lantern. Now, going into some of the Lantern Corps he could be, I do think an argument is made, and I saw one for death. Black Lanterns. A, he's already a spirit type being as a Rancor. So that already kind of puts him kind of in that realm. B, he died. So that already gives him another leg up. But B, he also killed a lot of people in his experimentation. So, death, I think, is a really good option here. Beyond that, though, I think there's at least a argument to be made for fear as well, because being an Espada, he does project a certain amount of authority and worry when he shows up, particularly in his fight with Renji and Uryu, where they did get very concerned and were afraid for their lives with this guy, because he was powerful. But if I'm going to go beyond that, like go this way down the list, Red doesn't work. He's not someone who's motivated by rage. He's not consumed by his anger. He's very logical. He's very full of himself. So I don't see that happening. I also don't see him being a Lantern of Love. I don't think that makes a lot of sense here. There's like, that's not a love for himself, maybe, but that's, I think, pushing it a little bit. Now, what I do think, though, he can work towards being a Lantern of is compassion, or what he could be a Lantern of is compassion. Why? Very simple. He has none. Not a damn bit of compassion in him whatsoever. And to be a Lantern of compassion, either you need to have it be your dominant emotion, or more often than not, you need to be devoid of it. That's why, like, serial killers and, you know, horrible criminals are oftentimes recruited, because they lack so much compassion that the ring latches on to kind of mellow them out. The Indigo ring is a very parasitic ring, too. It will actually rob you of your identity and kind of give you a new one. So compassion, I think, has got to be in the conversation as well. However, I don't think hope works in this Szayelaporro's favor. Did he hold out for some hope to, I don't know, be stronger? Sure, but no, he's not a Lantern of Hope. But greed is certainly an option. This was a scientist who wanted more, and he was never going to be satisfied. I think it is a fair enough assumption to say he would be a good qualifier for the Orange Lantern Corps, given the amount of like just how much he wanted to like dissect individuals. It's kind of like Mayuri. Mayuri would also be a very orange focused character, I think, because especially with this whole conversation about perfection. I despise perfection. If something is perfect, that is it. I can do a damn good Mayuri impression. I'd have to hear Szayelaporro's dub voice again to see if I can get that down. Some of their voices I can get down, but others not so much. But yeah, Mayuri Kuratsuchi is one I've always been very capable of doing. Anyway, I digress. That's a different video entirely. So of these four, what do I think is the most likely? I'm going to say fear is probably the least likely, because once the stronger characters like Mayuri showed up, whatever fear he exuded, gone. Also, he works with 7 other individuals who are stronger than him. 8 if you include Yami's resurrection. So, yeah, well, he certainly could be a Fear Lantern. I think it's his least likely option. After that, though, it gets tricky. I think taking the fact that he died out of the equation, I do think death is probably the next least likely, because while Shinigami Hollow and Arankars are just hollows that took off their mask, gained Shinigami powers, all that, while they are spiritual beings and technically exist not in the world of the living, they are still alive, just in a different sense. So while death, I think, is the next best option, I think it's probably still the no-go. Which leaves us now with greed and... let's try that again. Which leaves us now with greed and compassion. These two, honestly, you could probably go interchangeably back and forth with them. If I were to say which one I think is more likely, I think it's compassion. Why? Because and go back to Mayuri's speech about perfection, Szayelaporro already thought he was the perfect being, which means his ambition did have a level of end to it. There was a level that he was willing to accept that I am perfect, I can't get any better. And that wouldn't go towards avarice. Avarice would just be insatiable greed, never satisfied. But that's not what Szayelaporro kind of brought to the table. So, unlike Mayuri, who definitely would probably be a Greed Lantern. So I'm going to say it's compassion is his most likely Lantern Corps. And I think it makes sense. Most of the Espada don't carry a lot of concern or compassion for others. For example, Holly Bell actually would not be compassion Lantern Corp member because she does have a certain level of compassion, but she has a great deal of compassion for her three factions, her allies, and even for others in the right context. Even Grimmjow is able to care a little bit. Stark also was someone who could definitely have compassion if he needed. So I think that because of just the nature of who he was, Szayelaporro, I would go with compassion for him because he really was he did not care about anyone but himself. But that being said, that is just now my opinion. Let me know what you think. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Later.